For decades, Japanese volleyball had this narrative, They were always fighting, always skilled, but struggling to keep up with the giants from Europe and the Americas. They were looking for a game changer. And then, this guy shows up. A player who didn't just break the mold, he completely shattered it. This is the story of Yuji Nishida, the player who literally changed everything.
This quote just nails it. It perfectly captures the whole paradox of Yuji Nishida. On paper, he was everything the sport wasn't looking for. But in reality, he had everything it needed to be exciting again. Just a total force of nature packed into this unlikely frame.
And that's the big question, right? How did a player who's just over 6 feet tall, and that's considered short for his position, the opposite hitter, where you have these absolute giants, how did he not just compete, but completely redefine what was even possible?
To really get how he just burst onto the scene like that, we've got to go back to the beginning, to his journey as this phenom that pretty much nobody saw coming.
Okay, so you have to understand the world he was trying to break into. In elite volleyball, height is king. It's often the first and sometimes the only thing scouts are looking for. Nishida's growth was pretty average, so he was just systematically ignored. The entire system was built for a type of player that he just wasn't.
But here's the thing. Being overlooked didn't seem to bother him. Why? Because he had a role model who showed him there was another way. Kunihiro Shimizu, another left-handed powerhouse for Japan. Watching him, Nishida didn't see his own height as a dead end. He saw a blueprint for how to succeed. This wasn't just hero worship. This was ambition taking shape.
And that ambition? Well, it led him to forge a path that went against pretty much everything the system expected from a top-tier player.
In Japan, there's a very clear pipeline, right? You go to one of the elite powerhouse high schools, and that feeds into the national program. Nishida said no thanks. He chose an underdog school with zero reputation. Why would he do that? Because for him, it was never about the name on the jersey. It was about proving that greatness comes from pure hard work.
I mean, his work ethic was just insane. To make up for not being in a single elite program, he basically just joined 3. He was chasing every practice, every coach's perspective, every single bit of competition he could find. While all the other top prospects were in the spotlight, Nishida was just grinding in the gym, in total obscurity. And all that work, all that time is spent in the shadows. It was about to lead to a massive, massive explosion onto the professional scene. So when he finally gets his chance, he doesn't just, fit in. He completely takes over. He's 17 years old, it's his very first pro match, and he drops 26 points. In a single game, he went from a total nobody to the main weapon for his team. And just to prove that debut wasn't a fluke, he ends his rookie season racking up Best New Player awards. That made it official. A new force had arrived in Japanese volleyball. The kid nobody wanted was suddenly the player nobody could stop. And his impact wasn't just personal. It immediately translated to the national team. With a 19-year-old Nishida playing a huge part, Japan got its best world championship finish in almost 3 decades. He wasn't just a great player, he was a tide that was lifting the entire boat. And he wasn't just a spiker either. In one VNL match, he hammered a record-setting 7 aces. His jump serve became this legit weapon, like a high-velocity missile that could completely shift the momentum of a game all by itself. But beyond the court, his influence was getting even bigger. Fans saw this underdog story, this explosive vertical leap, and they immediately connected him to Shoyo Hinata, the main character of the wildly popular anime Haikyuu. He became a real-life anime hero, and he brought this whole new, younger generation of fans to the sport. But you know how these stories go. Every hero's journey has its trials. For Nishida, his biggest challenge yet would take him far from home to the toughest pro league in the world, Italy's Serie A.
Man, his time in Italy was just brutal. He moved there in 2021, full of promise, but was almost immediately hit with one bad injury after another. It was this relentless cycle, first an ankle sprain, then a bad calf injury. He fights his way back, and that 29-point game against Monza, that was a statement. Then, he gets injured again.
So there he is, sidelined, thousands of miles from home, struggling with the language. He had no choice but to evolve. He couldn't just rely on his raw power anymore. He had to become a student of the game. He started focusing on timing, on angles, on how to use the opponent's block against them. He learned to outsmart blockers instead of just trying to jump over them. In that whole experience, that period of pure adversity, it forged a completely new kind of player, one who was ready to not just play the game, but to redefine what greatness even looked like. He came back to Japan as more than just a star athlete. He became a leader, calm, tactical, and incredibly respected. Then his marriage to Serena Koga, who's the captain of Japan's women's team, well, that just solidified their status as volleyball's ultimate power couple. He became this cultural icon who proved that your physical gifts don't have to define your limits.
And then, in 2024, came the moment that cemented it all. He led Japan to its first ever VNL silver medal. Now, this wasn't just a win. It was a historic moment, ending a medal drought that had lasted for nearly half a century. The kid everyone told was too small had just lifted his country to heights they hadn't seen in forever.
So in the end, his journey really leaves us with this powerful idea. Yuji Nishida's story isn't just about some amazing athlete. It's a reminder that the real measure of greatness isn't about the physical tools you're born with, but about having the courage to just smash the limitations that everyone else puts on you. He didn't just play volleyball. He broke it wide open for a whole new generation.